getting more features and get better and better at their program. Of course, that comes at a cost. So, as Dreama alluded to, yep, SmugMug was raising their prices, and I've seen increases with that with Squarespace a little bit. And the more specialized features you want, well, then you're going to have to pay more for that. Um, so I wouldn't discount SlickPick or excuse me, Squarespace as being a good program to use for portfolio websites. But certainly there are other options out there. What you see on my screen here now, SlickPick. This company has been around for quite a while. Again, I've been using it since about 2020, 2021, something like that. And but I just use it for my sales. I don't really use it for my portfolio portion of my website. I kind of push people back into my main website for that. But that said, SlickPick is right now in a mode where they are trying to um, really update their technology. They're trying to really target photographers. If you're a PSA member, PSA actually has partnered with them a little bit for discounts. So you can go under your PSA account, go under, no, it's gonna, now I'm gonna test myself here. Um, be under membership and then discounts once you log in, and then look at the discounts, and you'll find information about SlickPick for being a discounted product through PSA. But just yesterday morning, I was actually on a Zoom call with basically the owner, the head engineer, and about a couple dozen other current users, and they were kind of walking through the basics of building out a portfolio website. And it was really interesting for me because since I started using the program, they've made some improvements to it that I hadn't really realized. And um, I think that for the money, and you can kind of start it for free and then work into it. But I'm in the because I'm selling through it. Um, I'm into one of the paid plans, but they're pretty reasonable. I mean, you start for free, and you can go on their website and see what all you get for that. And then for $5 a month, you can get into a basic photo and gallery sharing. You can move up to $20 a month, so 120 a year. And this is the plan that I'm in for doing my sales. And it's pretty reasonable, and it does everything I certainly needed to do. Um, and so I just think that it's a really decent platform. Jeff and I guess Jeff has been talking with them to have them actually come on and do a presentation. So this is kind of impromptu on my part to even do this, but I'm doing it just because I think it's a good platform and I do believe in it. And I think that if you are interested in a portfolio site, a way to share images and share galleries and whatnot, this is certainly a viable program to take a look at.
You're talking about SlickPick.
SlickPick, correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So they do have some built-in themes to kind of get you started. Um, they're not overwhelming, I will say, with Squarespace. The amount of themes they have to get you started is just overwhelming. Here you can see uh, that's kind of the bulk of their themes. They're fairly simple. They're set to showcase photography, and that's what you want to do with your portfolio site. Um, so these are some websites that, and you look at some of the names of people using SlickPick. Scott Kelby, Lindsay Alder, Rick Salmon, um, Matt Koskowski, Rick Freeman. So, there's some big name photographers utilizing this platform for their portfolios. And I think that speaks volumes and kind of gives it a lot of credibility to being a kind of platform that even basic users like us could really look into. Um,
Marty,
so yeah,
quick question on this. The Do they host your
Yes.
Your site?
Yep, they do all, that's part of the
Okay.
cost is that, yes, they're hosting it. If you don't have a domain, you can get a domain through them. If you do have a domain, you can leave it wherever you have it. For instance, if you have it through GoDaddy, you can actually point the domain to the SlickPick website. That's actually what I do with my RodeoFlix site. Is my domain lives on GoDaddy, and I point it to the SlickPick website, and it's all fairly easy to get integrated that way.
Yeah, because I have two domain names. One that I established many years ago. It's out of an outfit that's in Europe someplace. It's called My Name, and it's pretty cheap. It's only 15, 16 bucks a year for it. And then when I was going to use Squarespace, set up and I set up another domain name, which they have. I haven't set the thing up yet. I've played around with it a little bit, but I haven't really played with it that much other than that. But that $4.95 a month on this, that's just for showing your stuff, right?
Yeah, so affordable, easy, and high quality way to display and share your images with anyone. So
Okay.
you can do a personal gallery in there. You can do photo sharing. There's no ads in the gallery. You can use a personalized web address. In fact, you said you had two domains, and you can actually use multiple domains pointing to the same website, both here in SlickPick as well as doing that within Squarespace. And in fact, most platforms you can do that with.
I
Yeah,
had
but
a,
Marty,
I,
the custom domains are only with the pro version, not with
With the
the
free
495 version. 495, you got to use their domain name.
their dot SlickPick name. Yeah. Okay.
oh,
Yeah,
do they? Okay. That's good
Well,
to know.
those prices, I guess my Smug Mug isn't too bad then, looking at it. They're charging me this year about 140 a year, which comes out to about $12 a month.
Yeah, I'd
So,
say that's pretty average for most of these platforms.
yeah, I
Yeah.
started with them and for years, I started back in 2010 and for 10 years they charged me $60 a year and then they jumped it up to 72 and now they're jumping it up to 140. I just thought doubling it is kind of a big increase.
Yeah, so I think though one of the big factors is driving these price increases for the hosting is all these data centers and the fact that those are costing so much to build, they can't get chips for them right now. So I think that's really what's driving a lot of these increases that we've seen here in the last couple of years.
yeah, hard drive prices have gone up so much, and that's what all these data centers run on. There are thousands upon thousands of hard drives and all the backups that they have to do. So, yeah, the costs really keep going up, unfortunately.
Just the cost to
It's,
build the data centers. I mean, you look at the battles going on in here in Wisconsin over whether some of these,
yeah, over that one data center that they want to put in
to the
down
two
in,
billions of dollars that these things cost to build. Um, so obviously that money's coming from somewhere. Well, it's coming out of your and I pockets to have all these fancy tools they're providing for us.
I wonder who's making money on all those data centers anyways. I know we got one here in Menominee that it's a big tobacco going on. A lot of secrecy. They don't even tell you who the company is. It's all a bunch of holding companies.
Yep, that's
And,
exactly right. But mostly it comes down to the big data firms. So Google and Amazon and
Meta.
and then the reason that they're doing what they're doing to try and have all the uh, shell companies is so you don't know who's doing it, so that you're like, nope, I don't want that because that's going to be huge. It's a way for them to kind of try and skirt the system, but I think we're all onto it now.
Yeah, I was just
yeah,
curious who's responsible for all those holding companies. And of course, that just sort of suspicious when you got to go through 5 or 6 layers to find out who owns the stupid thing. So
Yep. No, you're absolutely right, and that's
yeah,
part of the problem. And then what they're doing is when they go into a municipality and then they try and get them to sign a non-disclosure form,
oh yeah,
just to keep it secret. And of course, so much for transparency in government, but that's a whole
I
nother-
know.
that's a
That,
Yeah.
that cost our mayor's job here in Menominee. He lost it because of that. He signed it
Wow.
NDA, then he regretted it. He apologized for it, but the damage was done, so.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I
But
guess
we
I better
need,
check the price of Smug Mug for a new person. The fact, I guess the reason I'm getting it lower than these prices is that I've been with them for so long, so I think I'm a legacy customer. Maybe I thought
Right.
it was outrageous, but maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah, maybe
yeah,
not.
I started with Smug Mug and I just got tired of how hard it was to use. And when I found Squarespace, I go, oh, wow, this is so much easier than Smug Mug was. So
Really?
that was one of the reasons why I switched out of Smug Mug. I mean, the nice part with Smug Mug is you could sell photos right off of it at the time that I used it. But that was also, yeah, about 10, 12 years ago. And Smug Mug was still relatively new and it was a very clunky system compared to Squarespace.
You did
Squarespace
have
is,
to put in a lot of HTML code and XML code to get things right, but I like that I could do that. When I tried to do that with the Wear Camera Club website a few weeks ago, there was some text and menus in one of the pages that I just was huge. Had the name of the next photographer in the galleries bigger than the name of the photographer you're looking at. So I went into Squarespace to try to change it, and I had to use CSS to do it. And
huh,
when I went to do it, it said, "Oh, you need a Premier plan or the
It
next
needs to be
price
on the
up."
next plan up from the basic plan, right? The core plan.
yeah, you need to be like what Marty and I are in a silver circle or gold circle, which
No,
means you have to be working on
not even that,
more
Jeff.
than one
It's,
website.
with Squarespace, it, yeah, the circle thing doesn't even really play into adding CSS. It's
It does to a point.
yeah, it does to a
I
point,
was
but
listening to Becca talking about it, and
right,
there have been people that have lost some of those extra plugin features that we've been using
Right.
because they got dropped from the circle system or they were gold and then they got dropped to silver and some of the stuff doesn't work now,
right.
which is
Yeah,
something that's
you're,
a
you're
little,
probably, you're probably right about that. But if you just have the basic plan, you're not going to be able to do any CSS.
yeah,
So if you get into that plan, um, I think what you're talking about, what happens there, Jeff, is some of the CSS um, can be targeted to a specific section.
right.
But
Yeah.
if you're using CSS for site wide, that isn't going to be lost, but it's the stuff that gets more targeted that gets lost. But I think we probably lost the whole crew now talking about CSS.
That's right. I was just wondering. I used to do
Yeah.
it at Stout. We built ours using the code and all that kind of stuff, but heck, that was 20 some years ago. And I haven't been back to that kind of stuff in a long time. So
So,
Yeah.
right. In the bulk of these websites, you almost never have to add any code yourself anymore. I mean, they're all, in fact, most people who don't know how to do it would never even dream about getting in there and doing it. Obviously, Dreamer, you've got some experience. Hubert, you've got some experience with that, so you would kind of understand, but the average user would not know or understand how that benefits them or how that could be used.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I should have been able to do that without using CSS. I should be able to change the size of some text on a page without that. And for that particular menu, they wouldn't let me.
Huh,
But
that's interesting
somebody,
because
Trey, on
you
the
should be
chat,
able to.
Yeah, you should, but Dreamer, so yeah, maybe you and Jeff and I need to do a little tutorial and see what was going on there because we're probably more familiar with the program than you are, and maybe you just didn't realize there's ways to do that.
yeah, I'd like to get together with you and check that. But Trey on the chat said that he uses Fine Art America, and I've always thought that Fine Art America I didn't know that you could build your own portfolio there.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, Fine Art America, I use it for selling my photos. It's a great site for selling your stuff. It's only $35 a year, so it's inexpensive, but it's not really it's a selling website, and you set your prices on it, and that's really what it's set up for, is to sell photos.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
what I
to just display your photos as a
market.
It's a portfolio type site, right?
yeah, it's not a portfolio site, but it's an inexpensive way to sell your photos. Um, Marty, I'll get mine pulled up while I haven't.
Yeah,
Do you have
I
any-
use Fine Art America also.
Do you actually sell stuff there?
No, because I'm not the best at marketing side of it.
Can you put
But
your
Yeah.
domain name there?
absolutely, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can even mask the URL so it shows up as my domain.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I end up doing is I have it embedded into my Squarespace site so that it's a little easier to display.
Just have a link over there from Squarespace then?
Yeah, well, you can actually embed it right into the site. Let me get this set up here and I can show you both. All right, Marty, let me share.
and Steven says that he believes that Adobe photography plans includes, he says, ability to build a free website. I think though that the amount of space that you're limited with Adobe is very small. So you couldn't put a lot of pictures up there. I
No,
could be mistaken.
no, it's Adobe Portfolio that they use, and there's a lot of different themes that they have, and it's included with the photography or any other plans. Um, it's actually not that bad, but it's putsy. Because you can actually create a link going from Lightroom to sync to the cloud to automatically import into various albums and populate the photography, the portfolio site rather, automatically if you want to do that. But you
Yeah.
can't sell anything on it.
No, and it is a klutzy site. I've got one customer that uses a portfolio site. What's nice is it's free. The bad part is if you want to change images, it's not as easy as what it usually looks like.
No.
This is my Fine Art America page that's on my website, and you end up just going to it by going to Shop Fine Artwork, and it drops right in. And then if somebody wants to buy something, and again, the big part with being on Fine Art America is you really need to keyword all your images to get your images promoted to all the people. I know there's a couple of people in our club that use it. Some sell. I don't really end up selling much of anything on it, but the nice part is if you wanted to sell, you just pull up the picture. Here's all the different items that they can buy. And it's actually quite a bit.
Are you selling prints or are you selling digital use of your images?
I can sell digital uses of my images. I sell apparel, mugs, beach blankets, phones, wall art, you name it. And what you do is you just give this is how much you want to make, and they handle everything else for you. They handle the making the product, shipping the product, and then you just get sent a check. Actually, I got to watch because I'm canceling my PayPal account, and I believe the money ends up going into my PayPal account. I'm going to have to change that. So, and So you can embed it into a Squarespace site, or this is what it looks like right from Fine Art America. And so you've got all your images, and then they can click on the image, and then it brings up all the sale prices. So if they wanted to buy a canvas print, it's $132. A frame print is $151. So you can
You don't
do a
state the
lot.
size.
Any sizes though, Jeff, or how does that?
What's the
What?
sizes on those?
Yeah, what's the sizes of those?
It is 7 by
12 by
12.
Okay, so like if you change the print size there, that I'm gonna guess increases the price.
Right, yeah, 7 by 12 is $49.66. I guess I must have it set at, but you can pick any size that you want. You're uploading to them a full-size image.
So those prices that you showed on the last screen are basically starting at and then going from
Yeah,
there.
Well, it
So-
looks like, David, I have a problem, the same problem you have, in that I'm real bad at marketing. And it sounds
Yeah.
like these things take a lot of that responsibility off and gives
If-
it to them. But
If
Jeff,
if you want to sell on Fine Art America, what you really need to do is keyword your images when you import them into Fine Art America.
Wait.
If you do that with the way you're storing them, then that brings it in automatically. But keywords is what Fine Art America really works with.
which
And
I do in Lightroom anyway. But
Jeff?
right.
what if you want to print? I have a printer and I just got all my soft proofing and everything set up and working right just yesterday in Photoshop. And so I have my own big printer and I print. And I know you have a big printer, photo printer too. Can you print from here, or do you have to let them send it and print it?
With Fine Art America, they do all that themselves through their own house. That's how they make their money and keep their price so low.
I'll just mention, like with SlickPick, for instance, you have your choice there how you fulfill your images. So the way I utilize it is that I receive an order from a customer, and then I kind of self-fulfill that. Well, to self-fulfill that, I get the order, I do whatever cropping and whatever on the image, send it to Bay Photo, and then from Bay Photo it direct ships to my customer. SlickPick has recently just added photo printing as an option, kind of in-house for them. So your customer can just order directly, and SlickPick will handle all the back end stuff. Now, I haven't really looked into it enough to know whether or not they're doing things like mugs and T-shirts and whatnot, or if it's strictly just prints. I do know that they are doing canvas and metal and other media rather than just photographic prints. So.
I know
David,
SmugMug years ago used to use Bay Photo in San Francisco, and that's where I've been doing my printing when I can't print on my own, like metal prints. But I haven't been too happy with Bay Photo lately there.
Oh, I use Bay Photo all the time. They do a great job for me. David, did you have something to add? I sort of heard you.
Well, yeah, one of the things you're okay, you're absolutely right about the images, the number of images that you can get. But what I found with Fine Art America is that their algorithm automatically selects based on the resolution of the image that you upload. And you have a cap of a 25 megabyte image. So if you want to, you really have to put it like in a JPEG format at a very high resolution with like no compression. And then you can upscale the image if you really want to, but the algorithm in Fine Art America will open up to the larger size prints because
Right.
you can print to the quality. One of the other things, you're absolutely right about you set your markup. That's it. That's the only work you have to do is you set your markup. But in the when you upload an image to it, and when you're talking about keywords, they also ask for a description of the image. And what I've been doing is I'm looking at people who have sold images on fine art to see what kind of description, and they're usually like 4 or 5 sentences and whatnot. They're not that big. But I've been slowly tweaking an AI prompt that I upload the image to the AI and said, write me a description for Fine Art America based on this, and I give it a whole set of criteria. I can't do that. So um so it uploads it generates the text. I drop that into the description. I'm done with that. The last thing is on Fine Art America, there's a section where you can put an embedded HTML link. So if you decide you want to make your own portfolio site or selling site on your Synology server at home, whatever, um, you can drop this link and then use Fine Art America to do the fulfillment.
Oh,
When they hit buy, it'll transfer them over to Fine Art America to do the shopping cart and complete the sale.
yeah,
But
that's
it's
interesting.
kind of like it's what I call the BS factor. You pay a certain amount of money, and the more money you pay, the less BS you need to go through to sell something or market something. And that's the way I look at it. Fine Art America is $30. That means I have to go through all the SEO and the marketing side of it.
Right.
But it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. I mean, I would only hope for the hundreds and hundreds of dollars per year for photography sites that you're getting something, a return on that investment. Um, that's the only thing I can hope for. And right now, I I use the other thing I use is Adobe Express, and I generate the I can generate a video, I can generate whatever I want, 30-second short video, and I've created Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and other sites that they allow to automatically post. And once I create the little campaign on Adobe Express for the image I want to sell, I put all of the text in there from the description and examples of what it would do for your room and blah, blah, blah. And then I let Adobe Express, it automatically connects and posts to all those platforms on any schedule I want. So I'm trying to use the cheapest technology the best way I can.
Yeah. Yep. I
Well,
can understand that. And Adobe Express is good for a lot of that stuff. I haven't delved into it like you have. I use it for other things, but it works out pretty well. It really comes down to what you want to do with your website. I mean, we're talking selling prints, which I don't sell a whole lot of prints. And we just had Lisa Langell on at our camera club, and she was talking about why a lot of photographers don't manage to sell their award-winning prints, and it comes down to, and she really made sense. And I got to admit, I wasn't a big fan of Lisa's for a number of different reasons until she hit a chord with me on um, what really ends up selling in a house. And fancy prints with bright colors and that don't really always work as wall art. And she has a completely different take. And if you, I've got to get her talk up on our website, and go to Menominee Falls Camera Club website, which is fallsphoto.org, and look at that link from Lisa Langell, or check out Lisa Langell herself. And I think she's hit on a note with selling fine art photography, especially nature fine art, what really ends up working on a wall and what doesn't. And her ideas really make a lot of sense. And I got to admit, it wasn't something that I thought of off the bat. I mean, we all develop great artwork, but putting a bear catching a salmon above your couch is not exactly a photo that a lot of people are going to think, oh, yeah, that looks neat, but does that fit as artwork in a house? Doesn't
She
seem
works
to
with a lot
always
of,
work.
didn't she work with those decorating type people that you hire to come in and decorate your house?
Right, she does.
She has a lot
And
of connections there, I think. Last I
yeah,
thought she did, it was.
yeah. And so, I mean, she really brings up an interesting point that I got to admit, I never thought about. So it really depends what you want to use your website for. Is it just to show off your artwork? SlickPick is going to work great. If you want to try to do like I'm working with, where I do education, I've got my fine art photos that I put up that I like to show. I'm doing website designs for people. Um, you know, you need to figure out what your website's going to be, what you want to use it for, and each of these companies have a different use. I mean, Fine Art America is great for selling. SlickPick is a great portfolio website. The portfolio website through Adobe works okay. It just is a lot of putzing around to make it work right. And there are a lot of others. SmugMug, like I said, I used to use SmugMug, but I had to end up doing a lot of coding to get it to work the way I wanted it to work. And that's why I went to Squarespace, because it's drag and drop.
Yeah,
You should,
SmugMug's gotten a lot better in that respect, I must admit.
yeah, and they all are getting better. I mean, when I first started 20 years ago, I had to do it all by coding. And I was using Dreamweaver through
Right.
Adobe
Yeah.
to create my websites.
Yeah.
And talk about a pain in the neck creating a website. It was tough back then. Today, it's drag and drop. And you got others. You got what, right? Weebly out there. There's Weebly. There's Square is doing their website if you're looking to get into the selling part of stuff. Squarespace, I think, still does a nice job if you want to sell certain things through the site. That works well. That's why Wacko, My Camera Club, Menominee Falls, why PSA, we all use Squarespace, because it makes our needs and we're able to make it work pretty easy.
Yeah, I think you know, where we kind of started this conversation with SlickPick is that it's, you know, designed by photographers for photographers, and it's designed um, really to showcase, but also to sell in a convenient way. Before I used SlickPick for sales, I was using a platform called Backprint, and boy, it was just so much work on the back end to try and navigate through that I couldn't deal with it anymore. And that's when I found SlickPick. And again, SlickPick over the last 5, 6 years has really made some great improvements to their platform to make it easier for photographers to do what they need to do. And again, I'll go back to Squarespace, and yes, for a portfolio, you can do that with Squarespace and have it look really nice for photography, but you just can't sell through it. So I guess you know, a good part of it is defining, you know, what do I need a website or a platform for? What do I need it to do for me? And then kind of start narrowing down your options, because there's a lot of great options out there. I'm not saying that Squarespace or SlickPick are the best ones. They're ones I'm familiar with, so I'm talking about them. But you guys just talked a lot about Fine Art America. I know I tried to get Trey to come on because I know he's used it for years. And but David, it sounds like you've got a lot of great experience with the background of the platform, and that comes out of your technology background. Your world's ahead of a lot of us where that's concerned, and so the simplicity of some of these other programs, I think, especially with the introduction to AI into these things to make life easier, I mean, when with Squarespace now, when we load images into it, it's generating the metadata that's needed on the back end that really helps SEO, and it helps for ADA compliance and all that. It's doing that automatically, at least initially, and then we have the ability to go in and tweak those descriptions. But AI is just in that respect is such a time saver in website building.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one. I'm gonna put into the chat the prompt that I've been working with. And I would welcome anyone to try it, see if this works for them, um, tweak it for the results, and share the results of what your tweaks are to see if it actually if you find something that works. Because I this is not, I don't believe that this is something that's unique to me or what I know. It's just a sharing, and I would welcome anyone to use it, share, keep the conversation going. So
What do you mean by prompt?
well, this is the AI prompt that I put in. Oh, come on, you can copy it.
Oh, like for Chat GPT?
Um, because why can't I?
Yeah, you
I'm trying
should
to
be
put it
able.
in, I'm trying to put it into the chat window.
Yeah, to be able to copy and paste something in there.
It's not, maybe it's too large.
Can you, David? Can you save it as a document and just put a PDF in there? You can do that.
Um, hang on, let me drop it. Drop it as a text file.
That TXT probably should work too. Yeah.
My default for my chat window is it just goes out to the panelists. I changed it. It did let me change it to everyone.
Come on. Can I drop it in there? Nope, can't drop it in there. Why is Zoom doing this to me? There it is.
There it is.
There we
Okay.
go.
All right.
Okay.
So guys, if you click on that, it should open up. I
Yep.
can put it in my downloads folder.
It is just a text file.
Yep. So I just went to my downloads wherever you guys got your attachments to go to. That's where you go look for it. But
Oh, wow, you really do get into that quite a bit. That's interesting.
Well, you remember the Douglas Adams books?
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had AI write the prompt.
Yeah. It's well, that's a great prompt.
So David, I'm gonna share my screen and bring this up, and then maybe you can explain to people, as far as um, what what you're trying to accomplish here, how you go about that, and
So okay, David, let me ask this question first. You just are copying and pasting that in after you've put in a photo?
Yeah, I because I'm cheap, I don't want to pay for an AI plan. I use Copilot because I use the
Okay.
O365 thing from Microsoft so I can get Word and Excel and all that stuff that I use. Um, and I get with it Copilot.
sorry,
So
I gotta bring that back up again here for us. So
Marty, let me do it because I'll take a photo and we'll actually do one. Because I got
This is cool.
ChatGPT always running. So
yeah,
let me
the first step is I drop a photo in, and then I drop I paste the prompt in and then let it churn.
Oh, yeah, Jeff, it would be interesting to see an example of this.
yeah, I can do that. It just takes me a second here.
But you're in Chat GPT. Do you have Copilot?
I use ChatGPT. I actually pay for ChatGPT
Yeah.
because of
Are the
all the
prompts the
stuff.
same?
ChatGPT is about $20 a month. so it's not inexpensive.
Just spin the wheel and pick one, and whichever
Yeah.
one du
So
jour.
if you have a prompt like this, can you just copy that prompt and put it into Gemini or Copilot or whatever? I didn't
Give
know
it a
that.
try.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Might get
I just
different
got to
results,
figure
huh?
out where the
Right.
prompt went. Here it is. Okay. So I just dropped a photo in. You could see my Chat GPT, I take it.
Yep.
So you pay
so-
for Chat GPT, right?
Yeah, I pay for this. And I'll just drop his whole prompt in that he just sent us. So here's that whole prompt. And I'll hit send. Now ChatGPT is looking at it.
See, and I look at it from the standpoint of let computers do the work, I can edit.
Right. And so this is really, I mean, with you coming up with that prompt, that is a great prompt. I mean,
Can you scroll back up? Which prompt? Oh, you put the whole thing in.
Yeah,
I-
just
I
copy
put
paste
the
the whole
whole-
thing in.
yeah. So this is the photo that I dropped in. It's a geode, a Bravo geode that I have. And then I dropped his whole prompt in. So this is what Chat just gave out. So for his first section of the prompt, a title, Crystal Heart of the Earth. There's the Fine Art America keywords being optimized. I mean,
That's cool.
then different hashtags for sending it to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. 150 to 250 word Fine Art America description. So
Jeff, are you showing your screen?
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm not seeing that. How do I? All I'm seeing is the panel here.
do you have two screens?
I do have two screens, but nothing's on the second. Well,
Yeah,
just
should be
In the
on the
chat,
s-
Trey understands. Trey, you get it. Yes, good for you. Great.
Yeah, it should be on your second screen. You might need to go, Marty, what would it,
I don't know because I don't do dual screens.
yeah, go under Windows in your Zoom, and then there should be a spot to bring up the second screen. It might be hidden behind your panel screen.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm trying to figure out how to move the panel screen. I can't minimize it. I'll play with it. I don't want to take your guys' time.
Yeah. So here's his Fine Art America, the description that you'd end up using. He's got artist notes. Now, part of the reason that what works nice for me with using ChatGPT is I have it so it remembers everything that I've done and talked about. And I do a lot of uploading of my own photos of I'm into geodes right now. And I have it tell me about it, write a museum description for it, because I'm working on creating a museum at a historical park with some of my rocks and that. So Chat knows all about what I'm doing, and then now it's created all this information all in one. I mean, it took less than 30 seconds to create all this. And David, that's your prompt's just amazing.
So
Yeah,
what
wish
do
I-
it goes
you
to
take
the
a
Do
copy of
Menominee.
prompts
that?
like that.
It
You
goes to
take
the
and copy
Menominee.
what you want?
What'd you say, Steve?
Do you take this now, all this information here, you take what you want out of it and you crop and paste it to the photo
Right.
information?
No.
Yeah, you could
No,
go
you,
like,
you take this information and edit it for what you want to say. Tweak it for how your words are. It's just a base to work from. And if you want to post it, say to Facebook, copy the Facebook section out, post your image to Facebook, and then paste your text in there.
So this is just generating information for you that you could use to basically edit, copy, and paste someplace else,
Yeah,
right?
this is an aid
Right.
for the photographer to write rather than
Okay.
spending an hour and a half angsting over words.
Okay.
Here's a place to start from, and then you can move on to go do something else.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
a little bit leery about the, how do I say, the privacy of that. I was doing some writing and I was using Gemini to help me write some stories that I then edited like you're describing. And when I got into the fine print on some of the Gemini um, rules or privacy statements, I
Mhm.
was surprised at how little rights I had to actually what I was coming up with on Gemini by making edits and changes. And so
Well,
it kind of scared me away from using it for creative processes like that.
well, in this case, I look at it as I'm not writing for anything other than posting onto a social media and selling. That's it. It's a
Yeah.
marketing statement. That's all it is. So if if in the terms of service and if Google says you can't modify anything from this or else we'll come after you. Okay, fine. Good luck. Go for it. I don't care. Uh, I particularly don't care because that's not the kind of press that they want.
Yeah, I wasn't concerned about them telling me I couldn't use from the stuff from Gemini. I was more concerned about what they were using it for. But
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
they do end up taking it, but it's like you posting on Facebook, and I get people saying, "Oh, you cannot use my photos when I post it on Facebook." You see these guys posting it all the time, and I
yeah,
mean, you as soon as you put your photo on Facebook, you've given up every right to that photo to Facebook.
Yeah.
And so you got to make that choice whether you're willing to give up your rights to that photo to Facebook and get publicity on it, or then you just don't share it on Facebook. Telling them that they can't use it is like spitting in the wind. It's not going to do any good.
Right.
Um,
That's why when I do this, I don't actually post my photo to Facebook. I post the link to the Fine Art America page of where my photo is. So when someone clicks on, if they like whatever photo it is, they click on it, they're automatically taken to the Fine Art America page where they see the photo and they can hit the buy button. So I never give Facebook the photo. I give them the link to it, but that's it. That's as
that's
far
a
as I
good
go.
point.
But you must post some kind of a thumbnail of it on Facebook for people to get a sense of what it is they're looking at.
Facebook does a preview of the link and saves it with the post.
Okay. So they generate their own image of that
Right.
link. Okay.
The only
Right.
thing they have is the link to where the image is.
that's a great way to do that, David. I never thought about trying it that way.
Yeah,
But it does. If you put a website in there, it'll put a picture of your website on it, and yet they can't really use that because it's a link. Um, wow. See, we all learned something.
30
With
years
it.
in IT. Woo!
you know, Jeff, for an impromptu program, this has been really, really intriguing to listen to this whole conversation and all of this.
Yeah, we all have a little bit. I mean, I got to admit, I don't worry about what I put on ChatGPT, and I put on tons of my photos, and they may be using it. I've never looked at what they actually go into it, especially for the paid version. But I live and die. ChatGPT is open on my computer 12 hours a day, and I'm using it to create emails and deal with stuff that I need to, or research I mean, I can throw up one of my geodes and ask it all sorts of questions about, what's in this geode and all this, and it spits out all this information that is generally about 90% correct for me.
Be careful with that though, Jeff. I saw a news article this morning where a newscaster was announcing, I was trying to think of which AI it was. I think it was Gemini, that they were saying that they're now finding that about 25% of the information that the AI gives back is incorrect.
You do have to watch exactly what it's doing. You cannot just take it for granted that it's correct. I know when I put in my geodes and I ask about location and such, that it's right maybe 75% of the time. Generally, I know about where my geodes are sourced from when I purchase them. So I know, and I will test ChatGPT on that to see if it's correct or not. And I know sometimes it's wrong, but if I give it enough information, it gives me the right kind of information in a format that I can use that I know is pretty much correct. So, but yes, you do have to pay attention to what it's saying. It's not always right. It can
I've
go
seen
off
it.
on a weird tangent sometimes.
I've seen it come back with a complete contradiction of itself within the same response.
Right.
I'd say that
So
too.
it's they're not perfect, but for me, I'm a very poor writer, especially in emails. And I have to deal with a group of people that is continually confrontational. So when I write an email to them, I have to have it written in such a way that it's neutrally balanced for what these people are reading. And I certainly can't write an email that way. ChatGPT does that for me every time, and it comes through with as neutral in a sounding tone as you can get. And it saves me so many hassles from this group that I have to work with, that I just love it for that. And
I would look at, if you look at the chat that's been going on, there's a Trey Forrester has an excellent comment out there. And his prompt basically starts with, write a compelling benefit driven photo caption for and its specific industry of real estate or home decor. And you can take that first line of the prompt that I sent, and instead of, you're a copywriter for a premium photography marketplace, put something like that, the benefit driven, on why you want something that will compel the person reading the Facebook post, the Instagram text, or whatever, something that will compel them to click the link to go there to see it, because that's the challenge. You want to get your photo in front of their eyes so they can make the buy decision. And you'll have to tweak the prompt. I've tried, based on some of the other, Kelby things that they had out there, with the hero's journey prompt. I've tried that. That's bizarre when when AI generates a hero's journey story. So I like I said, it's Trey understands. And I would say use this as a base to start from. If you find something that is a better prompt, something that works, please share it. Please share it.
Yeah.
As far as photos being stolen, Trey made a comment about the people in China scraping screens shooting.
Yeah.
There is they've had a lot of success. I have a friend called Nico Trinkhaus who started an organization called Photoclaim in Europe, and they're having real success all over Europe and the different countries with getting money from companies that are illegally using photos. I've asked him why he doesn't expand to the United States, and right now the U.S. laws are not very conducive to making claims for misused photos. But he's starting to do more work here, and hopefully in the future we can have that kind of stuff, that kind of legal claiming photos in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the US, the only thing you can do is the copyright process in federal lawsuits. That's
Right.
pretty much the only thing you can do in the US.
And I remember, David, you telling me one time about the fact that you had sent a top number of your photos to the Copyright Office. You want to talk a minute about that?
It used to be a one price and unlimited photos, and now it's like $55 and you can send up to 200 photos. You get a nice letter saying, congratulations, you own this copyright
Yeah.
number. You get a letter out of it, but it becomes, it really becomes at that point, you have listed with this third party, the National Archives, your images, and that you own copyright to those images. So now if you see your image, or if you see your image in a magazine or a billboard or whatever, now it's going to be up to you to prove that that image is yours. And then you have to take that proof to a lawyer that can sue in federal court, give that to them and say, go.
But I remember you talking about the purpose in doing that. We were having a conversation, not so much as protecting the photo as your purpose in doing this. And I was going to do it and I never acted on it.
Oh,
Was to have it go to the Library of Congress or the archives so that your photos will live in perpetuity.
yeah,
Because
it does.
Yeah, because when we're gone, our photos go.
Yeah, after 75 years, the copyright expires, but those images that you uploaded now go into the public domain. We are still listed as the photographer or the owner or whatever, but they're a source that keeps living on, because now the US government is now hosting your photos.
Yeah, I was wondering, I'm going to be 74 years old, so another 10 or 15 years, I'll probably be gone, or later, whenever. But I have a whole hard drive full of photos that I've taken over the years, and my son isn't interested in photography, so they'll probably just sit on my hard drive until somebody comes along and sends it to recycling. And so I was thinking that maybe I should take my 200 best photos and upload them for copyright, just for, when they're doing archaeology 200 years down the road, they'd come up with my photos.
Yeah, and consider it that you're just uploading a JPEG. So,
Yeah.
so if you take, for instance, if you take, say, Drema, if you want to write about a 2 or 3 page or 4 or 5 or whatever number page story about your life, how you grew up, where you grew up, what it was like, include pictures in it, save it as say a PDF file, and then copyright that PDF file.
Oh, that's a good suggestion.
So now here's the story of Drema, with pictures, the story of
or the pictures that I'm taking around Milwaukee.
Right.
This is the story of Milwaukee in 2020s.
Right. And the thing is, this is your story. It's not someone else trying to make up your story or some family fiction history of what it was back then. It's your story, your words now are going to be there, stored in the National Archives. It's kind of a way to game the system for history.
So my wife has been making books of her photographs. She's a pretty accomplished photographer. And she says, I don't want to die with all this stuff on my hard drive. So the books will live on and be passed around among the family. The kids don't want pictures for their walls. That's not their thing. But the books will survive in some form. And maybe, David, to your point, maybe a book with 100 pages of images, you could copyright the book as a PDF, which generated it.
Yeah.
And all of those images, therefore, are copyrighted in one fell swoop. But the book then has a theme and a label and is a pretty attractive package, at least the way she does it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that would be a good way to do it.
And doing photographic books these days is so easy. Blurb, she uses Blurb, which isn't cheap, but the quality of what's done and the ease of production is superb.
Yep. Now, I was going to say too, with SlickPick, one neat feature that they have that they haven't been talking about a lot, but they told me about it, was they have a feature of getting it all put together so that they've got a whole package that you can upload right to the Copyright Office with the full spreadsheet that they need and all the different steps put together, all in a simple package in SlickPick, so that you don't have to go through the work of generating the spreadsheet on Microsoft that's required and everything, because Copyright Office has made that a lot more difficult than what David originally said. I used to upload 10,000 images in one shot for $55, and it was super simple. I just had it all packaged and up it went. Now you got to go through all these hoops to do it, and I got to admit I stopped doing it, but I must have 20,000 images up at the Copyright Office, mainly the Smoky Mountain stuff. But yeah, so it sits there and you get this nice little certificate that I have sitting in a binder that says my images are copyrighted, and I go, yep, whoopee. I still have images stolen over in Europe because they end up taking it. Actually, sometimes they were taking it off the Copyright Office. And so it's, it's your stuff's going to get stolen, and you can try to get it back, but it's is it worth the effort or the cost?
You might want to go to PhotoClaim. If they take you on as a client, and one of the advantages is not taking people to court and trying to claim damage or whatever. It's a lot of times what they do is just contact the company, and a lot of the companies are using photos illegally in their graphics department, and once they're called out, then they pay for the photo, and they're getting their customers are getting quite a bit payments on their photos that are used illegally. There was even some jokes at the Photo Pills camp over there that I went to, that some of the photographers were putting the photos up hoping they get stolen so that they can get paid for them.
Yeah, that market's changing a lot, because now you can throw the prompts into ChatGPT and say, I need a photo of this, and it just creates its own photo, and I don't have to worry about copyright. I do that for a nonprofit that I work, where I'm creating brochures and everything for them, and I don't even buy stock photos anymore. I just have ChatGPT create them for me. So that's another nice use, but it's a use that hurts us as photographers, because that is something that photographers used to make money on, was selling to groups as stock photography, and that stock market is slowly going down, unfortunately.
Can I throw out a question that's going to change the subject completely? I don't mean to derail the current conversation. We can come back to this when we're done with it. But I'm in moving to Madison, I've lost insurance on all my equipment, and I don't want to pay as a professional for it, because I don't earn money at it. So, but I can't get it through my homeowner's policy here. I'd be very interested to know what you guys do for equipment insurance, and if you could steer me in an economic direction for that.
I've been round and round with that on Simon. I have it as a rider on my homeowner's insurance. I go through State Farm, but when I moved up here from California, I had insurance through USAA. And when I moved to Milwaukee, they said Milwaukee was a high crime area, so they doubled the price of my camera insurance, the price of the insurance for my camera equipment. And I switched over to State Farm. You said you can't get it on your homeowners?
We're in an apartment. I had it as a rider on my homeowner's policy back in Boston. We're in an apartment here, and American Family, who gives me the renter's insurance, won't add the photography. They won't list the photography equipment.
Yeah, you could go and get just a separate insurance policy on it. I'll tell you, it's not inexpensive to do that. I have about, and I'm unusual, but I have about $25,000-$30,000 worth of equipment, maybe a little bit more, and I'm paying $800 a year
Ooh,
for insurance for it.
I'm paying about 200. And
Yeah.
PPA offers insurance.
And that would be a place that I would suggest. I mean, you gotta be a member, which is $300 and some a year, but their base free policy probably covers most people's equipment. And if you go to their next step up, it's not that much more, and it would be covered. I don't know what I don't remember their deductible from PPA. I'm actually looking at it because my insurance is high for it, but I've got a lot of equipment covered under it. I don't remember how
PPA
much.
has about a $50 deductible. But
Yeah,
if you can get with USAA, I mean, I hated to give them up when I moved to Milwaukee, but doubling the price was more. But I had a $2,000 lens stolen when I was in Buenos Aires. And I couldn't make a police report because they didn't speak English and they were going to send me way across town. And so I got online and filed a claim with USAA, and they had a check in the mail, but when I got home. And
Yeah,
I was really surprised.
I lost a drone in Iceland, and they paid for the whole thing.
Yeah, drone insurance is a whole different ball game. I have mine, like I said, through State Farm, and half of the cost, I think, is my insurance on my drone. Most insurance companies won't cover drones at all. So
I'm not surprised, and I was very surprised that I got payment for mine. That was quite a. I won't buy another drone. I don't want to go through that learning curve again.
well, if we ever get back to normal use of DJI, one of the best insurances for drones around was what was it called, Marty?
DJI Care, but
The what care?
DJI Care.
But it's not active in the United States right now.
No. So when I go do commercial work with my drone, I actually buy it per use, but you can do it as a regular ongoing plan too. But it's an app that you can get onto. It's for drone insurance. It's called Skywatch, and so when I go out and do a shoot, I just add that as an extra onto my insurance policy for that shoot, and it's a relatively cheap cost. It depends on how long you're going to be flying and where you're flying and all that, and how the price is based. But they do have annual and monthly plans as well. So like their annual plan starts at $466 a year. I don't fly enough to warrant that, but if a person was doing enough flying, that would cover your drones and for loss and all that. So,
Does it cover liability?
and it covers liability. Yep. So it's like
Does it?
$1 million policy and all that. So,
In case you get sued, huh? Okay.
yeah.
yeah. If you're gonna do stuff commercially, I used to carry, because I'm not doing commercial work anymore, but I just had a commercial policy through my insurance company, and then that covered equipment, liability, and all that. And yeah, if you're doing stuff where you're doing it for commercial purposes, I would certainly have a commercial policy that covers you for liability and equipment, and then you can get it for a lot less. I mean, my full policy for a year for commercial use was about $1,100, but it covered me completely if I was shooting somebody's fancy vase and I knocked it over and broke it. My policy would pay for replacing that vase, no matter how expensive it was. So there are times.
The thing about a homeowner's policy is that they're adamant that if you make $1 on your
Right,
photography, that you're a professional and you're disqualified.
right.
So, you know, you may be paying for homeowners insurance, but if they can figure out or point to you having earned $1, they'll disqualify you and not cover you.
So that's right. But I run mine through my business. I through the same company just does my homeowners, but I just created a business policy with them, and for all my equipment and for liability and all that, it's not actually, I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but it's not. I don't find it to be such a huge amount for what I'm getting for cover. I'm kind of like Jeff. I've got $25,000 worth of equipment that I cover, you know, plus
Yeah,
liability and all that. So
I have more than that. You know, I'm a wildlife photographer, so you know, I've got some big glass and lots of bodies, so it gets pricey.
Yeah, and
but
I used to be up over 100 grand for camera equipment when I was a full commercial photographer, with all the equipment that I had besides my lab equipment and everything else. So, but yeah, depending on what you're doing, sort of depends on the type of insurance, and you just need to find out an insurance company that might work for what you want it for. But yeah, if you're going to earn any kind of money, then you might as well go right to the commercial policy,
right.
which is Upland or what? Yeah, forget what
Upland
they
Marine.
call it. Yeah, Upland Marine. Never understood why they had Marine in the name.
Yeah.
But I've cut back down to about $30,000-$40,000 worth of insurance now, because I just figure the equipment's been paid for multiple times, and it's just I would rather just pay for it out of pocket if something happens to it now
there
than
is
insure it.
if you go for 3 or 4 years of a policy, all of a sudden you've paid for a couple of lenses.
Yeah. But I tell you, it's certainly worth it. 1 year, I had somebody walk off with my full camera bag, full of equipment. You know, 4 bodies, a whole rack of lenses. I can't remember how much it was, because this was back in the film days, and they just literally picked up the bag and walked out with it. And when I went to grab it, it wasn't there. And my insurance company within 4 weeks had me a check for all the equipment. Biggest trick is knowing what was all in the bag.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, if these days, probably PP of A is probably your least expensive way. I saw Trey put in Progressive has camera insurance for $199 worth of camera equipment costs, as low as $275 per month.
But I wonder if that's personal again, and if you're looking at business, they'll probably talk differently.
So I'm not sure I'm understanding what he's got there. So it's $200 worth of camera equipment costs $275. So that's almost 3% of the value of the equipment you pay for every month. You know, by the end of the year, you're up to
right. It's
that's not
and then
cheap.
it depends too on your deductible, and the other part that a lot of people don't realize when they insure it is that you want to insure it for replacement value, not the actual value, because they will knock down the actual value so fast that by the time, if it's 2 years old, all of a sudden you'll be getting, $500 for that $3,000 camera body. And, how are you going to go out and replace it? I had to always fight with my insurance companies to make sure that it was replacement value, because when it came to renewal time, I found that the insurance company would slip in, oh, no, this isn't replacement value anymore, it's current value. And it's so simple. They're just replacing 2 words in there, and those 2 words make a heck of a lot of difference.
Wow, yeah.
That's a good suggestion, Jeff. I think my State Farm is that way, and I need to check on it. I think
Yeah, because if it's current value, you might as well self-insure it and just keep a pot going to replace it. So I always make sure it's a replacement value, and yes, you will end up paying more for it.
It's like your house insurance. Yeah.
Yep.
You have
Same
replacement
thing.
value on that. So
Yeah. And you got to watch your deductible, because they always will start moving up your deductible on the insurance. Mine started at $100 deductible, and all of a sudden the next year, and I'm not paying attention, it was $500 deductible.
yeah.
And so that wipes out all the little stuff that you have. So there's no reason to even include little things. You're just going to include the big stuff. And yeah, there's a whole lot of tricks with it.
Well, they're playing those
That's
tricks
right.
with the roof replacements now. So
Right. Yeah. Everybody's
Thanks.
getting
Thanks
that.
for indulging me with that question. That was helpful.
No problem. A lot of us have been through this for a long time. I've been a professional photographer 40 some years, and gone through a lot of this stuff. So
Well, while we're changing subjects, I wouldn't mind going back. This is a subject that'll take the rest for the next 2 hours, I know, but you had said that you liked Bayphoto. There was, I think, Trey or somebody on the chat that was talking about Bayphoto. And so I wanted to tell you why I became discouraged by Bayphoto. I used to use them a lot and I really liked them, but they will only guarantee to reprint a photo if you let them adjust the photo. And I have used that before when I have a couple photos that were printed not to my liking, and they wouldn't reprint without me repaying for it because I didn't check the little box that allowed them to adjust it. And when I did check that box recently, I got back a metal photo that was just really, really, really dark, not unusual for printing. And I asked them to reprint it. They agreed that it was really dark. And they reprinted it and sent me another metal photo, and it was almost just a tiny bit different. And so I've talked to them in the past about sending them a guide print so that I could print a photo the way that I want it, send it to them, and have them print according to that. And you'd think that they would like that because their customers would get photos that are okay, but they charge an extra $20, $30. It used to be $20, but maybe $20, $30 for them to even adjust a photo according to your guide print. So my next step for them is to see if I can download the ICC profile for their particular printer and paper so that I can do soft printing before I even send the photo to them.
that's probably your best way to do it. I've never had a problem, but I keep my monitors calibrated, and as long as my monitors have been calibrated, my photos have come out identical on my monitor to what they print. So I haven't had much problems with them at all.
And
I
I'll-
have used their
I'll-
profile to check to see how it's going to look. But I do color calibrate before I go to print.
Well,
to make sure
I calibrate my printers, and I just spent almost all day yesterday finally getting the calibration to work, where I have two monitors and I put two different color profiles for my monitor for Photoshop. And what I did is I went into Photoshop and I made a duplicate of the photo and moved it to my bright monitor with the bright profile. I think it was set at 160, what is that, CD/meter
Oh,
squared?
that's way too bright.
But
Yeah.
that's what I like my monitor set at. But you're right. Then I'm going to get really dark prints if I
Right,
print that way.
right.
So I set my other monitor. I have two profiles that I can use. One set at 160, and then I set the second profile when I calibrated it down to 100. And that actually worked really good. So I set that monitor to the profile using 100, and then I compared the picture and its duplicate to where they looked almost the same in Photoshop by adding print adjustment layers. And I printed it, sent it to the printer, and it came out beautiful. And then when I was done, I could just go back into Windows and reset the profile back to my daily use. Because I've always said that if you set the photo really bright like that, and then you save it to a JPEG to put on social media or upload somewhere, then you get a really, really bright photo that's not like you want. This subject came up a little bit when you had Dan Anderson in, I think it was a couple months ago,
Right.
talking about printing.
Yep. Yeah. Because if your monitor's too bright, yeah, you'll get really dark prints. I've gotten used to, my monitors are all set at 120 for the brightness, and
I think that's the default in most of
yeah.
the calibrations. And I have been unhappy in the past that I have these high-end monitors, but they are really, really bright. And I got to the point where I set it down for printing, and I couldn't, for other things, I couldn't read. I was squinting to read things on the monitor, and it annoyed me having my monitor set down really low. And so unless the room is really dark or whatever, but I do not want my monitors set down that low. And also, it's not the calibration setting it low that changes how it's printed. I actually tested that a few months ago where I ran a print and looked at it for the bright monitor, and then I set the monitor down really low, dim, printed the same print, and it came out exactly the same. The difference is when I'm set the monitor really low like that, and then I have to adjust it and brighten the photo so that's why I have the duplicate on the other monitor, and to where they look alike. And when the monitor's set really low, and then I adjust the photo, then I send it to the printer and I get out what I want.
Yeah.
Sounds like you
Yeah,
haven't gone through that rigmarole though, Jeff.
Yeah. I don't. Right now, I'm having problems reading the monitor, but that's because Zoom is putting all the links in dark blue against the black background, and I have a hard time reading it. So I'm going to have to change that setting. Yeah, I don't know. I've always had my monitors at this set brightness, and it worked fine for my printers, and it works perfect for the printers that I send to. And I do use Bay Photo, and my stuff comes out just like what I send them. And
Yeah.
same for Allied Digital Photo in Germantown that I use. I just make sure that it's at this settings, and they match up perfectly because they also calibrate their monitors. So when each place calibrates, you should be within the ballpark. It's not a perfect system, unfortunately, but it's a lot better than what it was most of the time, because I know Marty doesn't calibrate at all.
And I just say, so I don't calibrate. I let Bay Photo pick my colors. I have never had a print come back to me where I've said, nope, not happening.
Yeah.
I just put in the chat 2 different links for Bay Photo regarding color calibrations and the whole process. One has the ICC profiles in it, so you can look at those links and see if that doesn't help you. But you know, Jeff, we've had knock down, drag them out discussion
Right.
about this whole thing.
What?
with Bay
Yeah.
Photo, with a lot of the custom color labs. I'll tell you, years ago, I used to use American Color Imaging, and Rick Tremo was the rep for them at the time, and he and I had a good long, healthy discussion about this. And because I was having the same issue, I was trying to get all my colors correct and send it to Bay Photo or to American Color and say, okay, print as the file I sent it to you. And especially if it had red in it, I was coming back and they were just, the colors were just so far off. So Rick told me, just send it as a lab color. So the lab chooses the color. I've never had a problem with any lab I've ever done since then with a lab choosing their color because they know what their monitors are calibrated for. They know what image, what their colors should look like. They know what skin tones look like. Uh, you know, you're, I guess sometimes you're trying to outdo the lab and you just shouldn't even do that. Let the lab be a lab and let them do their professional job.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
traditionally I've set the what's it called, the 120 CDs, candle
Yeah,
lights or whatever.
it's the
I set it to
brightness.
120, which is the default for most, and you said that you use. Maybe I need to set up a third ICC profile for my monitor for that, and get their printer profiles. But also you need the profile for the paper that you're using, or I guess I think I'll contact them to see what they use for their metal prints, because that's mostly what I order from them.
Yeah,
Uh,
I do what Marty does is I do let them color correct because when I send them, and my photos are all sent as sRGB.
Right, that's another
Um,
right. I mean, they say you can do Adobe, but really the monitors are set up for sRGB.
yeah, and
well,
that's how they.
how long has it been, Jeff, since you've had them print for you?
About a month ago.
Oh, was it? Because they also they are growing, and they now have a a site in Oklahoma, I think. And my images came out of Oklahoma, and they're not the same quality, I think, that I was getting when I ordered them from San Francisco. They came out of San
Yeah,
Francisco.
if you want more personal contact, use Allied Digital Photo in Germantown, and you can talk with the owner, and he will work with you to get the quality photo. Now he does not do metal prints in house. He sends that out, but he can do any size paper print and do a lot of that. He does all my regular small stuff because it just isn't worth sending to Bay Photo for 3 5x7 prints. By the time I pay for shipping and everything else, it's got the price run up too high. Where I can go to Allied and for $3 I can get a 5x7 print made, and a lot of times that's all I need. I've given up printing here because I just don't print enough to keep the printers working correctly. So, but all my big stuff that I do, and I'm just getting ready to send some stuff off to Bay Photo again, for, big things. They've worked fine for me, but yeah, I do let them color correct because they can do that final tweak when they get it and see it on their monitor. And
Yeah.
then if it's not right, and they've sent me samples and they've sent me ICC profiles that I've used. So,
Well, like I said,
works.
the last one they sent to me when I had made them reprint it because it wasn't acceptable. The copy they sent to me was you almost couldn't tell the difference in how bright it was. It was almost the same thing. So maybe I should have contacted them and told them that, because they've almost lost a customer because of it.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt talking to them about it. There are other labs out there, MPix and
Miller Photo, which is MPix is their is Miller Photo's consumer end of it, but yeah,
yeah,
Lighthouse Color, there's a myriad of Nations Color. I mean, there's a lot of labs out there. But I would say far and above, if you ask most photographers who they're using Bay Photo, and they're happy.
I have to get off because I'm on a webinar right now. Okay.
Yeah, so it's yeah, yeah, if you're not happy with them, you either keep working with them or look at a different lab. But
I've seen
Bay
a lot of
Photo,
ads. Sorry.
yeah,
seen a
Bay
lot of
Photo
ads.
has been the best that I've seen so far.
I've seen a lot of ads lately for Whitewall, I think it is, but somebody told me that they're in Europe. But they do have a New York lab, I think.
Whitehall, you mean?
Yeah.
Whitehall, yeah.
Whitehall, okay. Oh, I thought it was Whitewall, but Whitehall. I know a lot of the YouTubers have been having that company sponsor some of their ads.
They're like Squarespace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they all advertise Squarespace.
Yeah, so I mean, sometimes I'm not as picky on my photos as, other people. The stuff I'm doing now isn't quite as important as some of the stuff, but my fine art stuff with Bay Photo has always come back just the way I wanted it. So I've either been extremely lucky or, and I mean, I'm not using expensive monitors. I'm using $130 LG monitor. So it's not
Wow.
like I'm doing spending $2,000 on a high grade monitor. And I've been able to get as good of results as when I did use an expensive monitor.
Oh my, maybe I need to go back and buy a cheaper monitor.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
mean,
using the
I've
basic
had very good
Whitehall.
luck with an LG 27-inch monitor. I see they got them at Costco for $130.
Wow.
And they work just fine for me. It's
Yeah, and I thought my BenQ at 600 was reasonable, so.
yeah.
I thought you have a
BenQ.
BenQ for 600. I think I thought those were like
I've
over
had it as,
1,000.
yeah, a couple of years ago. It's just it's not the it's just called the 270C. So, but I've had it a couple of years, so.
Yeah.
The other monitor, as you talk about cheap, I had a Dell and I still got it here. But that thing, I think I maybe paid $200 or $300 for that years ago. That sucker was pretty good. So, but,
I
Yeah.
have Dell, but it's the high end. It cost me over $1,000 for each one, and I've
Wow.
had them now I've been
Yeah.
here in Wisconsin for 6 years, and I had them maybe a year or two before I left. So it's 7 or 8 years old, and it's getting time for me to think about getting new equipment. But at that price, I'm just like, oh my God, that's for 2 monitors.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, maybe I should go to Costco.
Yeah, my LGs, I gotta admit, I do have to color correct them more. They do shift a little bit more than more expensive monitor. But
When you
I've
got a-
calibrate, do you use Spider or X-Rite?
I'm using X-Rite well, it's actually an X-Rite calibrator. I use the Calibrate software, but the X-Rite sensor.
Yeah, Calibrite is their name now, I think.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I've
Yep,
been
they've
using.
been
And
bought out.
the thing I like about my device is it also calibrates the printer paper.
Yeah.
I went through that, so that's pretty
Yeah, you
cool.
must have the Color Monkey or something.
I think Spider calls them the monkeys,
Yeah.
but X-Rite or Calibrite.
X-Rite. Yeah, I've got what they call the Color Monkey, which let me calibrate, measure paper. I stopped doing that and just went back to paper profiles that the companies provide. But it's in the old days, you had to do that a lot more than you do today. But yeah.
Yeah, but I was having trouble with the device reading the screen yesterday. and I rebooted my whole computer and it worked okay, but I was thinking that maybe my device was going bad. So I looked at the price of them on the the Calibrite website, and they're like $600 for the one that'll do both the printer and the monitors
Oh,
and projectors
yeah.
and everything.
You might look at not doing the paper as much anymore. I don't think it's as necessary as it used to be.
Well,
Talking with a couple printers, they just use if you're using Epson paper, you use the Epson profiles. Who better knows what the paper and ink is going to do than the manufacturer?
but there's all a variance, and it does change over time. I usually use the same profile for the same paper. So I would, if I change papers, then I would get a new profile for that particular paper. That can vary quite a bit.
Yeah, because I always stuck with Epson paper with Epson printers, and I just stayed with their profiles, and I found their profiles were better than anything that I could create with. And I had the high end where I was paying $1,500 for the X-Rite Pro paper calibrator system,
Ooh.
and I ended up finding out after playing with it for years that Epson's own paper profiles were still the best.
Hmm.
And when I had Kodak paper using Epson inks, I just used Kodak's profile, and dang if it wasn't right on. So
They seem to be pretty good. I use Canson paper, and they're right on. So with my Epson printer, anyways.
yeah, the paper companies or the printer companies know exactly as long as you stay with the company's inks.
Right.
Yeah, it used to be that inks shifted in color a little bit, but that was 20 years ago when manufacturing processes, I don't think, were quite as great as they've gotten today. And for what the ink printers can do today, I've got to admit that at least that's the way that I've gone, and it's worked perfectly fine for me. Now, granted, I'm not printing these days. I haven't been printing for about a year because I don't print enough to keep my printer heads clean.
Well, I hadn't printed on my Epson big printer, and it's been over a year, maybe close to 2 years. And I was thinking, should I just get rid of it? And a couple months ago, I sat down and started cleaning it. Took half the cartridges to get it clean, but I was able to do it.
That's the other problem. You just spent, I don't know how much. I don't know.
$300.
Yeah, you probably spent, quite a few $100s to make 1 8x10 print. That's what I was running into. A lot of times I need to make 2 5x7 prints, and I was going through 2-3 cleaning cycles to get 1 or 2 5x7 prints. I figured that cost out, and it was costing me $5 to $10 a print, and I could send it out to my lab and have them print it for $2.99 and not have to go through all that hassle.
Yeah.
I just decided I might as well just keep using an outsourced lab. If I was still selling a lot of big prints, yeah, I would still have my 24-inch printer. I miss having that printer. It was such a good printer, and I could get it to just the way I wanted it without hardly any hassles. But
yeah. Well, after cleaning it all up, I've committed to printing at least one photo a week of something just to keep my printer up to speed. So it's kind of encouraging me to get back to looking at my photos and printing them, and so maybe selling some.
Yeah, I miss doing it. I like printing. Nothing like watching a new print come off that printer. But yeah, right now I don't have the space for a printer, and trying to keep it running is just not worth the cost of all that ink.
Does
and
anyone
so-
else here print their own?
I got a small printer though. It's only a 13-inch wide, so.
Yeah,
I used to, but with this move to smaller quarters, I just didn't really have the space to set it up. So I sold the printer. And you know, like Jeff, I'm at a point where I don't do enough of it, even if, you know, if I was gonna, that I would just send the prints out, get them done. You're right. It was really fun to see that image come off the printer.
Yep.
If it was a good print.
Yeah,
Trust-
especially if it was good.
It wasn't, and you realize you got it too dark and have to print it again. And
I pointed my garden hose at
Did our speaker ever show up yet?
nope.
Or
Nope,
contact?
I will have to write a letter to email to Gary and let him know that he didn't show up and that I've tried contacting him a number of times. I even sent him an email before the meeting here. So
yeah, I'm
Well,
sorry
don't
I was
use-
not a reasonable facsimile.
yeah,
Don't use the chat GPT to be nice.
no, well, yeah, Gary will be a little disappointed. I've worked with Gary for a
Good guy.
long time, probably 10 or 15 years. He's a really nice guy. And Hunt's Photo is a pretty good place to buy equipment. You'll find a lot of the people, you know, Mike Moats works with them. A number of speakers work with Hunt's because he's one that goes after trying to get businesses from camera clubs and that. So he works heavily with PSA at the photo conferences and that. Gary and I did have a slight falling out when we had an argument when I was running one of the photo conferences or co-running the conference, and he did some stuff at the conference that sort of upset us. But on the whole, Gary at Hunt's is a decent guy, and he'll give you good prices for purchasing equipment. And that's all you really need. When I had my camera store, I used to buy cameras from Hunt's to resell, and they always gave me great prices and good deals. So Hunt's Photo and Video is a pretty reputable place if you want to work with a camera store that's just a couple stores in size. They're smaller, but they still seem to have the buying power to have good pricing. So
Yeah, he sends
And,
me an
um,
email about every 3 months, ask me if I want anything else, so.
yep.
There's
You know-
there's possibly another advantage, which is almost shouldn't be talked about, but depending on how much a business they do in each state determines whether they charge sales tax in that state or not. And I've ordered some rather expensive equipment out of Picture Line in Utah, and they don't do enough business in Wisconsin to have the requirement of paying collecting sales tax on the equipment. Of course, you have to report that on your taxes anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yep. I was going to bring that up is if you don't report that on your taxes, that is
Be
not
careful.
a good thing.
Yeah.
Be careful, there might be some Wisconsin revenue guy on this thing.
Yeah.
Man. Be careful what you say. So.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I've always paid my sales tax when I report sales tax payments. So I pay my use tax on all the stuff when I don't pay sales tax through a company. So it's so nice now that most companies are charging sales tax when you buy stuff that I don't have to go through that effort keeping track of what I bought and making sure I report it on my use tax form when I'm paying my sales tax stuff.
Yeah, it would be nice if, that's one of the advantages of buying locally is the sales tax goes to the local community rather than somewhere else.
Right.
And if you buy it out of
Well-
Minnesota, their sales tax is much higher than it is here, so Wisconsin.
Yeah,
But if you buy online, they will charge you the
Your
sales
state.
tax and the destination of the shipped product.
That's
So,
correct.
if you buy from Hunt's, they will send the sales tax and charge you at the rate of Wisconsin's sales tax
Right.
rate, not Massachusetts.
That's right.
yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Mm.
If they charge you sales tax.
Right.
Well,
And
They
most
don't have-
online places do. Certainly when I was in Boston, Massachusetts really started tightening up on online sales and was going after companies in New York like Hunt's or like B&H. And B&H had to start charging sales tax. They didn't for a long time.
Well, most
Yep.
places do charge it, but I found out at a conference in Utah 3 or 4 years ago when a picture line was there that it depends on how much business they do in each state. And Autorama and B&H does so much business in all states that they're going to charge sales tax everywhere. But if they don't do the legal requirements is if they don't do business in the state, less than a certain amount, and I don't know what those numbers are, then they don't have to worry about the sales collecting.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but that number's pretty low, so that most businesses are gonna have to, especially if they're camera stores, because it's that number is pretty low and you do have to do it, but some
Yeah.
places don't. It's a hassle if you do stuff out of state. I'm glad that I don't do stuff out of state because it gets to be a real hassle with it, but I'm glad when they do it though, so I don't have to worry about it for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of running a business, unfortunately. Well, wow, we've covered, it's almost noon. We covered a wide range from not knowing what we were going to talk about today.
Done okay.
Filling up 2 hours. It's what we used to do in the beginning.
Yep. And it got most of our people.
Yeah, we haven't lost a whole lot. It's I know we covered a wide range of topics from websites to insurance to sales tax.
I've learned a couple
Um,
things today, so I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no,
Yeah,
it's good.
it's been really helpful for me, guys. It was nice to meet you all and
Yeah.
get familiar. I'd love to learn more about the organization, but this is a great start and very informative discussion. Thanks.
Well, it's great that you came. I'm glad we got you on as a panelist. And yeah, WACO is just a statewide organization of 19 or so camera clubs throughout the state of Wisconsin. And we're here we run competitions during the year, and we have some programs that we put on during the year that are in person. Right now, we don't have anything that I know of going. I'm hoping that they bring some stuff up. We're working on a fall competition. We're not having a spring competition this year because I'm busy working on another nonprofit group where we put on historical events. And I'm busy the weekend that we normally have competition. So we're put it off till fall until we can find a replacement for me to do it, for somebody else to do it in spring. But yeah, WACO is just an overseeing. I didn't create this group. This group used to meet in person. God, it's got to be 25 years ago when Lynn Rieger started this to help teach people how to use Photoshop Elements back in the day. And they would meet, I think it was US Bank in Butler. And she would explain how to do things, and then it just kept going. And then I joined the group, and started teaching how to use Photoshop, and it just continually grew. Went away for a few years, and I decided after with Zoom we could bring it back, and here we are. We let anybody in. This is not something anybody has to pay for. Wacko picks up the cost for a lot of this, and now I'm looking for sponsors to pick up the speaker costs. I guess I got to work on that a little better because next month we do have another Hunt speaker. Let me see if I should mention it. Where'd it go?
Do those camera clubs pay a fee in?
No, actually, it's free for the camera clubs right now. We used to charge a whole whopping $30 a year to be a member of Wacko.
It would be really neat if we had like an annual meeting where in person, to go back to that, because there's one of the nice things about some of the camera clubs now is going back to in person, and you actually get to meet people.
We have too many people that are across the state to try to do something in person, and we have people now coming in from across the country. I know I've got one person from Arizona. I believe we had
One from California.
we have somebody from California. We have some. I know I saw somebody sign up from Omaha. At least one sign up from Omaha.
Got Sandy down there from Kentucky. We got, so yeah, we've grown beyond the Wisconsin borders for sure.
Yeah, we're trying to grow this quite a bit. I actually always hoped that it would be even more than what it is right now, but I'm happy with what we're doing. I got to admit, I bring in a lot of speakers that fit what I like, and that's why I was looking forward to this Simon Tolzman with the automobile photography. I'll have to see if I can get him rescheduled and figured out why he didn't make it. But next month I have Ben Canute with the introduction to bird photography. In June, I have Jason Odell. I'm still working on what he's going to talk about. I will have him pick something that should be interesting. July and August, I am actually working with getting the production people from Slick Pick to come and do an actual talk on Slick Pick. Even though Marty knows quite a bit about it, we'll be able to talk to the actual programmers that run it, and what will be nice is we'll probably do a little bit of this might be good for your camera club type thing, because that's what they're trying to do, is open up a branch of Slick Pick to work with your camera clubs, either for judging photos. That's why I'm looking at it, is that Wacko is probably going to change the competition software to Slick Pick. It's inexpensive compared to what we're paying now for an uploader, and looks like it's going to work just about as well. It's going to be a little harder to use on the back end for some of us, but in the long run, it looks like it will be a software that will work for judging, and I think make it easier to upload for everybody that's uploading into the competition.
So where do you get your money from anyways, Wacko, then? If you don't have a
Wacko,
membership.
we get it for people that pay for our the programs. We do that March program
All
where
from
last
the
month we had,
programs? Oh, I'll be darned.
yeah, the money comes from that.
Okay.
We used to make a lot of money off of our programs. We used to get a lot more people coming, but we brought the speaker in, and our costs for bringing speakers in and that have gotten so high that we just can't afford to do that anymore. So now they're all on Zoom.
I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and then we charge for the competition and we make a little bit of money off of that.
Okay, so you're doing it that
So-
way then, all right.
So those are the two income sources. The rest of it, here I'm trying to get speakers that either don't cost much or they're speakers that I want, and sometimes I kick in some money for them myself.
Who do you get to judge the competitions?
We get judges generally right now from Illinois. There's another group, WACO is the Wisconsin Area Camera Club Organization. Illinois, it's CACA, Chicago Area Camera
Club, yeah.
Club Councils, Club Association, something like that.
Or whatever the, so,
Yeah.
Simon, I know you're a member of PSA, so, WACO, CACA, N4C, there's a lot of councils that are also associated or affiliated with PSA as well. So you said you're looking forward to getting to know more about us. Certainly visit the WACO Camera Club or WACO website if you haven't been there, wicamera.org, cameraclubs.org. If you haven't been to the PSA chapter, which you are a member of the chapter, by being a new member to Wisconsin here,
Yeah, I've signed up for that. Yep.
yeah, I think I sent you information on that.
You did, thank you.
So we've got an outing next month in Green Bay. So if you haven't looked into doing that, you might want to join us.
We both Nancy and I were interested in it, but we're going to be out of town. We're headed back home to the East Coast for a couple of days, and that's going to conflict, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, there's certainly a lot of activity here in Wisconsin, photography wise. So, I'm glad you found us, and we were welcome to participate all you'd like. You were, it was great. It was a first time member that you jumped right in and shared today, and thank you for that.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, been good.
Yeah, it's been helpful for me. So you guys represent a bunch of camera clubs. We're based in Madison. I am very interested in wildlife photography, nature photography. Is there a club that you can recommend that might be interesting to participate
Boy,
with?
we don't have much in We've got somebody in Janesville,
Lloyd.
but I don't know what. I would tell you the group in Madison to check out would be Photo Midwest.
Yeah,
Camera Club.
I'm a member of them. Yeah.
But
They're
they're
the biggest club in the state. They don't belong to WACO, unfortunately.
PSA. Yeah.
But
but
they
there-
would probably have the most interest.
Yeah,
for
there is
you.
a camera club in Beloit that's a member club. There is a camera club in Janesville that is not a member club that I'm going to be working on trying to get swayed into it. But down in that part of the state, we don't have a lot of clubs directly around Madison. The closest ones would be heading towards Milwaukee, so you get into Waukesha and that area. There'd be some more clubs around there. Going
Yeah.
north, you got to get up to Stevens Point where I'm at before you find a club.
That's surprising. I would think Madison being such an artsy, supposedly, that they would have a photo club down there, but
Yeah,
there is a really big club down there, Steve, but they're not affiliated with PSA or with WACO.
okay.
And I don't, Jeff, do you know how many members they've got? They've got a lot of members. I know.
Oh, I think
This
they've
is
got
Photo
well
Midwest?
over. Yeah, Photo Midwest has well over
Yeah.
300-400 members.
Yeah.
It's a huge camera club. It's not like Milwaukee where we have like 6 or 7 camera clubs in Milwaukee spread around the city. I'm in Menominee Falls, which is 10 miles north of Milwaukee. And we have our camera club. And we do some in person. We do most of our stuff by Zoom because our speakers are easier to get on Zoom than trying to get somebody in person.
That's the same thing in Minnesota. They have the Twin Cities area camera
Yep.
console there. And there's
Yeah.
a bunch of them in the area. Because I just went to a conference a couple of weeks ago. So
Yep.
where they have an annual thing, so.
Yeah, there's actually 2 Wisconsin clubs that belong to that council as well, but over on the west side of the state. So, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's yeah, it's sort of strange. We've got quite a, like I said, we have 19 clubs, and there's a lot more clubs in the state that we just nobody knows about, because I think some of them we know about through PSA, but we've never been able to get them to join the WACO group. And we almost had Photo Midwest join the WACO group. Unfortunately, we had some, we couldn't get it worked out, I guess would be the best way to put it. And it's a shame, because I think they would have been a great asset to WACO. And I actually follow them quite a bit. They do a Thursday night Zoom meeting that's open to anybody, and they bring in some really good speakers as well. Sort of copy what this group is about, and I think we started it before they did, but they do the same thing, and they also, what's sort of neat is if you're a darkroom group, you can use their labs. They've got their own labs and that. They cover the full range of photography, but so they're certainly a good group to belong to, and you probably can find the nature part through there. My Menominee Falls Camera Club brings in a lot of speakers. Most of them are nature photographers, and you're happy to join that group over Zoom if you want. Our dues are modest at $30 a year. So
What's that group again?
Menominee Falls Camera Club, and it's falls-photo.org. So check it out if you'd like to come once or twice. We have, what is this? This is April. We got May and June meetings, and then we meet in person in July for a party. And then we do a Christmas party in December in person. Plus we do outings every month, usually. But there's a lot of good groups out there. I only promote mine because I know more about them, because I'm the one that schedules the speakers. And
how's your membership coming?
We've got about 55 members in our club.
Have they gone down? I know the Western Wisconsin Club, which is part of that Twin City consortium, they've gone down from 100 down to about 44 now, but it's a heavy competition type of club. You know, if you're into competitions, you like it. And if you're not, well, there's just not much else other than competition. So
I'm hearing about some clubs in Milwaukee, Waukesha area that are having problems, and a couple that are closing down. They're more closing down for the main reason that they can't find volunteers to be president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer, or program person. That seems to be the biggest problem with most of the groups right now, is finding leadership that will keep them going. Everybody wants to sit back and watch, and nobody wants to do the work that it takes to bring speakers in and to keep a club viable.
it's an age-old problem.
Yeah, it is. The younger people are not quite as interested in it. So it's one of those things that we constantly, and even in my club, we constantly struggle to find a president, vice president. We've been fortunate with the secretary and treasurer that have been around a while. But
One club that's really growing is Ware Nature Center Club. I joined them last year because they have some really good photographers kind of coalescing to that area, to that club.
Yeah, I think
I tried to get creative images going. I tried for 2 years and finally gave up because I was the only one doing
Well,
I'm
exactly.
doing-
You found out firsthand. I think one of the things you're seeing down there with Ware and a couple of the other clubs is because so many are struggling, some of them are going to fail and those members are going to go somewhere. Now let's
Yeah.
hope they go somewhere and you be a good example of this. You got involved when you went over to Ware. And that's what needs to happen. As membership director for the state for PSA, I've talked to enough clubs. I see it firsthand that is the biggest detriment to clubs is lack of interest for volunteers, and
Yeah,
it just can't happen otherwise. And yet, those of us who have been running some of these clubs for many, many years, some of us are at a burnout factor. Like, nope, we've done it for 8, 9, 10, 12 years. Somebody else needs to step up and do some of this, take some
yeah.
ownership of these clubs. And, it's unfortunate, but this is what is causing some of these clubs to go away. And I've used this example many times in talking to some clubs. So, those of you know me, I'm a member of Omaha Camera Club as well. Omaha and Milwaukee are virtually the same size geographically and demographically, and yet we have pretty much one club in Omaha, and it's growing and growing and growing. Milwaukee has way too many clubs, and they're failing and failing and failing because they're too spread out. The manpower is too spread out for them. So if there was some consolidation in some of the Milwaukee clubs, that would probably be a good thing overall. Yeah, they don't want to lose, the individual clubs don't want to lose their little identity. They'd rather lose the whole club, apparently. So
Yeah.
it just defies logic that there isn't more thought to consolidating some of those clubs into a bigger, more cohesive club that can,
David, you know about that, right? You finally gave up trying to run. After how many years were you president of the Racine?
So here in central Wisconsin, Focal Point Camera Club, we're hanging on by shoestring. I ran it as president for 8 or 9 years. We've had a couple other really good presidents, but those of us in leadership in the club have been in leadership in the club for the past 15 or better years. And we're all at the point like, nope, we just can't do it anymore. Life is moving on. They've got, some of the members have retired and they want to go do traveling, and it just so this past year we kind of did an ad hoc running of the club where each of us kind of took a month for the meeting and kind of ran that month, but it's long term, it's just not a viable solution to keeping our club going.
Is that up in
Yeah.
Stevens Point?
Well, we're central Wisconsin, yeah. I mean, Stevens Point area, right?
And that's happening all over. So
Oh, it is, Steve. And again, I've had these conversations with a lot of different clubs, and not just here in Wisconsin, but because I'm also Great Plains area membership director, I get out to talking to clubs throughout the Midwest, and it's not just here, but the general membership needs to understand that they can't just show up every month expecting everybody else to lay everything at their feet. They need to take ownership in their club. They need to be involved in their club actively.
Yeah.
And by actively, I don't mean just entering contests. I mean helping to run the clubs. Something as simple as, do you have a refreshments committee at a club? Do you have somebody that is helping to find programs and put them together?
Setting up the website.
Setting up the website, right? So I wear many hats in a lot of the clubs. So, you know, um, it takes many hands to run these things, and you can't expect 3 or 4 people to continue year after year after year. And I know most of the people on this call I'm preaching to the choir on, because most of you are involved, but there are some that are not, and they need to get involved or the clubs won't be there.
Yep. Yep, we've been harping on that for years. I mean, I used to be the guy that brought the projector, the sound equipment and everything for our club, and I did that for 20 some years. And I hate to say that for me, COVID was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it created Zoom and I could stop doing all that work at every camera club meeting. And that was 2 hours of getting the gear in my car, setting it up. Then everybody would leave at the end of the meeting, and that would be me packing it all up and hauling it away. And I've said we can go back,
Absolutely.
our club could go back in person anytime it wants to, but then somebody needs to be that equipment person. And nobody wants to be the equipment person, so we've stayed on Zoom. And I'm not going back to doing all that work. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
Ware is doing both online. I think Racine is too, but Ware is doing both online and on Zoom, in person. And most of the people are coming because they want the social interactions with all the other photographers. But when it's snowing and there's a blizzard out, it's nice to be able to log on to Zoom and
I
Mm.
love the social interaction that you can do in person. I just got tired of being the only one that would haul that equipment in and out.
Yeah.
And that's
I
a
know
lot
that
of,
feeling.
gets to be a lot of work every month that you have to be there with all that equipment. And
yeah.
Ties you
Well-
down.
it
Well,
was,
Linnea is the one running Ware. Her and Ramona Langer is running Ware. And I'm trying to encourage them to delegate as much as possible because I know that they're going to get burned out within a couple of years if they keep,
Yeah.
doing everything. So,
yeah, our club, it was Bill Reitz. And our club was the one that basically kept our club together from the time that it started till he passed away. And he and I worked together a lot of years, well over 10 or 15 years. And because our club is over 40 years old. And I just ended up taking over and I'm doing what he did. And right now, I don't have anybody that's willing to go through some of the work that I end up doing, which is getting the speakers and keeping the club going. Just like Marty said with his group up north, we struggle. I gotta now look for a new vice president because our vice president moves up to be president next year. And I got fortunate with the last person. It was one of the first calls I made. He accepted, Bernard Hall. And I always appreciate when somebody steps up like he did, without having to go through a lot of work. And Elizabeth, our current president, does a really good job at keeping the president part going. And we have a good committee that brings in the speakers. But yeah, it takes a group of people to run these clubs, and I think everybody here does that. So
Simon,
But-
I'm kind of curious, coming from Boston area, did you belong to a club there, and how did things go there?
Yeah, I started in photography, I don't know, 12 years ago or so when I retired, and got involved in a couple of local clubs. And then I met my wife, Nancy, about 5 years ago, and she was very active in the Boston Camera Club. And so I joined them and focused all my energies there, mostly with competitions. They're pretty strong on competitions. They have an excellent program, and they're a very active, vibrant club. Speaking of volunteers, they've delegated assignments within the club in administrative work really effectively. So they've probably got 5 or 6 principals that you hear from at least once a month in one aspect or another of the work of running the club. Then I got to be good friends with several of the members. They did meet, I think, once a month in person, but all of those meetings were also online. So we participated because we were about an hour outside of Boston. So it was, it was a challenge to get into the meetings. But the Zooms went beautifully. The competitions were run really effectively. They had a third-party software application that did all of that stuff. And so they probably paid a fair bit for that, but it
Yeah,
worked.
I think they use Visual Pursuit software, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yep.
So, I used to judge the PSA website contest, so I'm a little bit familiar with Boston because they enter the contest every year, and it's a big club, big organization.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
Simon, why don't you once a month come down and join us at Ware and see if you like it? There's a lot of, if you're a wildlife photographer, you'd love the park that we're in. It's a huge Whitnall Park, part of Milwaukee County Parks, and it's only an hour's drive down and back once a month. Come to the next meeting.
From Wisconsin. I mean, from Madison.
Yeah,
Madison,
Yeah.
to over by where it's at. Yeah, where are you at?
Where? You should come down too, Marty. I think you've attended some of the meetings on Zoom. You should join us too.
So I've got a post office box in Hubertus, Wisconsin. Is that
That's
That's
where
up-
Menominee
Oh,
falls.
that's where Jeff is from.
That's
Oh.
yeah, that's where I originally lived. Now I live in Menominee Falls, which is 10 miles away from there. But
so the meetings are held in Menominee Falls?
Well,
yeah, my meetings are held
Oh.
in Menominee Falls. Weirs is in Weir Nature Center.
the Menominee Falls ones are only on Zoom. They're not in.
Yeah.
Okay, so Drummer, when you were saying I should come on down, where's there?
Whitnall Park is in Milwaukee County. And it's I live in Franklin, and the park is kind of between Franklin and the little town of New Berlin, suburb of Milwaukee. I'm about 20 minutes west of Milwaukee.
I'm gonna
And
put a.
so it would be about an hour's drive down from Madison. I've been meaning to come up to Madison there's a couple of things I want to shoot up there, but I've been too lazy to get out and do it. But I wouldn't mind shooting with you sometime.
Simon, I just put in the chat a link to Ware's website.
And
Okay.
David, somebody said, are you still a member of Racine Camera Club?
I did not sign up to be a member this year.
Why don't
but
you come
I
up to
joined
Ware?
I'm what?
Why don't you come up to Ware?
No.
I'm recruiting because I'm tickled that we have some of the best photographers I know of around the area that have joined recently. And
I didn't want to do it because I chose not to enter competitions, and that's the only criteria that the Racine Club has to be a member, but I attend the meetings.
yeah, the Ware is not doing, they do once a year print competition that's coming up in June. But other than that, it's not competitions. We show pictures, show and tell every time, but we've had some good speakers.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they're planning more and more outings.
Now that you brought up print competition, the Wacko Print Circuit competition, I just want to let you know, I have the box of prints with me. And our next meeting is going to be in second Thursday in May, which is going to be the 14th. And then after that, they get sent to Photo Kenosha.
The meeting for PSA?
No, this is for the Wacko Print Circuit schedule.
Oh,
I have them, and our Racine Camera Club next meeting is May 14th. And then in the 15th, it's going to get sent to Bob Light in Paddock Lake.
I've never joined into that print circuit. I've judged several times the images, but I've never gotten it together to contribute.
You should do that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's two simple 8x12 prints, one color, one black and white.
Is it too late for this year?
Yeah.
You got all
You got to
the
wait.
pictures?
They take the images in September, and it goes out again in October.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Part of the reason
Yeah.
I've not been competing is because I haven't been doing a lot of photography, but in the last month or so, I've gotten a couple of competitive quality images.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
that
and
that
our,
was my reason too. I lost interest in photography as just going out and taking something. I lost a focus in that, lost my interest in it. And it took me a while to step back, and then now I'm getting back into it. So I do have to get going. So thank you all for the meeting. It was
Well,
wonderful.
come up to where?
yes. Thanks, David. I love your prompts. For Fine
right.
Art
Yeah,
America.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
bye,
That's
David.
way cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Enjoy
you.
A
meeting
lot of
you.
great info. Thank you. Yeah, we're running late, and I need to get going to another meeting that I have to do soon too. But
So
yeah,
Drummer, can you send me your email? I'm at simonbunyard.com.
My email is really easy. It's photography@dreama.com. It's easy to remember if you can remember how to spell my name.
Photography@drema.com.
Yeah.
I put it in the chat for you.
And Marty, you're
I'm
going
still
up to
sharing.
Green
I
Bay.
didn't realize I was still sharing the screen. Somebody should have said something.
We've been just so engrossed in our conversation that anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
because for me, right in front of me, I have the whole panel, so I see everybody, and I don't see that I was sharing
I think
because
you're
that was
still
off to the
recording
side.
too.
Yeah, and just so people know, Menominee Falls Camera Club has started a second section where we just do, it's not really an image critique, but it's an image show and tell the fourth Tuesday of the month, where we have everybody shows about 5 to 10 images, and then we talk about them and we sort of critique them, but not in a way that gets crazy. And we're finding quite a few people. What we had was we ended up merging River Edge Camera Club, had the same problem every other camera club's having. And most of those people belong to Menominee Falls Camera Club. So we merged the two together, and their big thing was just discussing nature images. So we've now formed a second group that meets on the last Tuesday of the month and talks about images.
Is that in the evening, Jeff?
Yeah, at 7 o'clock
Is
till
that your
9.
regular meeting?
It's a regular meeting. Our regular full meeting is the first Tuesday of the month.
Oh, Tuesday nights are. I was actually thinking about joining Menominee Falls.
Yeah,
When I was
we bring
looking
in a
around.
lot of good speakers. Like I said, we just had Lisa Langell come in and talk. We had Ian Plant this year. I can't remember all the different ones that we bring in. About 10 speakers a year.
Wow. Well, Tuesday night's out for me. I have other events on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
But when I was looking around for another club, I was seriously considering Menominee Falls, even though that's probably an hour's, half hour to an hour's drive from here.
Well, but we meet all on Zoom. We don't do anything in person except for field trips.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I did a presentation once and it was on Zoom.
Yep. We just found Zoom was easier. At least for me. I do miss meeting in person. I mean, that was fun, except that generally I was working the equipment and setting the equipment up, so I never got to talk to anybody. So I talked to more people here at these groups or in our Falls group on Zoom than I ever did while we were meeting in person.
Well, Linnea doesn't do any setup. She's doing the camera on her laptop and she just kind of points it out to the group. It's just a matter of coming in and plugging in the laptop and setting up the projector, which she has to do anyway.
We used to have a whole big production when when the chapter met in person, and it was a lot of work for Jeff, and he certainly didn't get anything out of the meetings because he was
Yeah.
too busy running everything equipment wise, and he couldn't really pay attention to the speakers and all that. There were just too many other things going on. Things have simplified a bit since then, but it's still so the few meetings that Focal Point has done that have been hybrid, it's the same problem. We got to because where we do our when we do our in-person meetings right now is we have to bring a TV in. We got to use somebody's phone for a hotspot because there's no internet there. We have to. I mean, it's not a simple thing. You guys, we're lucky because you've got that facility to go to that you can work with, but
Yeah.
not every club is that fortunate. With Omaha, we certainly do hybrid meetings, and they're meeting at um, Methodist University in one of their classrooms. So they've got TVs, they've got microphones, they've got cameras. So that isn't a problem for the group to have to set all that up. But the groups that do have to set that up as a hybrid meeting just doesn't work out. The other thing is what we found here at Focal Point is, yeah, our members are telling us, well, we want to meet in person. And then when we have a hybrid meeting, nobody shows up to the meeting anyway, other than the same people who would have been to the Zoom meeting. So I don't always buy that people want to meet, and especially when we have outings and you still don't get anybody to show up to the outings. So these Zoom meetings do tend to be very effective in running a meeting. Yeah, you don't have that personal interaction that I can shake your hand, but we can still sit and talk and bullshit like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to chat like that. I'm still a member of the club that I was a member of in California. And one thing I really liked about that club, even though we're meeting on Zoom all the time, is that they had a gallery in Balboa Park by the San Diego Zoo. And they still have that gallery, although and we all put the clubs, there's 5 clubs that are members there, and they put their pictures up in the gallery and all the tourists come through. I kind of wish we had something like that here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and Wacko's trying to figure out a way to do that. PSA chapter does have gallery hangings that they do in different spots, but
Yeah, we've been trying to do that. So we got one coming up in Racine, July, I think.
yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
Up. So, we had it up here. We're moving it around the state. We had it here in central Wisconsin. You guys had it down there in Wasalis. So I don't know where it goes after Racine, but we are trying to do that so that we can all showcase and promote both the local clubs and PSA in general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Linnea's connected up with Inspiration Studios, but that's just an old little building that doesn't get a lot of people coming through. And I know that the Milwaukee Art Museum off of the pavilion, Calatrava Pavilion down there, they have a huge room, which I was wondering. I'm not a
Let me
member
ask you
there.
this, Andrea. Have you ever gone down there and talked to them and said, "Hey, what would it take to get a show in here?" And I guarantee you that they're not going to allow you to leave it as a permanent exhibition.
Yeah, one of the disadvantages that doing that on a monthly basis is that the parking down there is pretty awful. But I have talked to them.
In any city, we did a well, in fact, Omaha does ongoing displays in a couple of areas, and I went down for it last September, and atrocious parking. I mean, that's the problem with big cities. That's why I live in a 400 population town, 20 miles from the nearest big city. I love it.
Yeah. When I talked to them at the art museum downtown, they just gave me a card to talk to some big manager for the
But,
art museum.
Like you said, in California, if they're leaving that as a permanent exhibition, great, but you aren't going to find that in Milwaukee. Not unless
Yeah.
it's a building that you can, and there's no money. I mean, these clubs don't have money to own a building hell, PSA just finally bought their own building 2 years ago after being, an organization since the 30s. So, it takes money.
Yeah, the club
Yeah.
in California is,
In a
I
perfect
don't think they're
world,
gonna,
you know,
that, right now, their clubhouse in Balboa Park is shut down because the roof fell in from all the rains that they've had, and they've had to shut it down for
anyway,
over.
we're way off topic. It's late and I gotta go. So
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, this
we'll
has been,
chat in Green Bay.
yeah. And yeah, we're down quite a few people now. So this has been an interesting meeting. We've gone all over the board with it. So I appreciate everybody for coming. We'll see you guys next month. Whatever, I don't remember the date anymore, but the fourth Saturday in May, and with Ben Canute, and we'll see everybody. Thanks for coming. And from not knowing what we were going to do today, we did pretty darn well.
heard it.
Thank you all for